your flesh and blood.
Welcome to Tell Me Your Story, new paradigms for a new world where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We are here 9 times a week, Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., streaming live at all those times at richarddugan.com. We are on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, as well as YouTube, where you can watch these conversations. I hope that you will take time to subscribe and click notifications so that when a new conversation is posted, you'll be notified and you'll be able to tune in, listen in, and learn, and be entertained and inspired. A reminder that Choices, which is my book, 5 Steps for Life, it's available on Amazon.com in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle with Audible, soon to be released. We also ask that if you can support the work that we are doing financially, we do have a PayPal account. It is there for your security as well as ours. And when they ask for an email address to whom you're sending, please go to richard@richarddugan.com. That's the email address. If you go to richarddugan.com, there is also a link directly to PayPal so that you can send us whatever support you can. And we thank you to those who have helped and to those who will help. We also ask that you take time during this decade of perfect vision, the 2020s, to go within to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place and listen to that still, small voice. And with that, we now take you to our very special interview and guest here on Tell Me Your Story. And welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Reverend Dr. D, and we have a returning guest. It's like her 3rd or 4th time here on the program, Soma ARah. She is connected with the Pleiadians, light years away, but from her vantage point, you might even say a thought away. That close. That's how close they are. And she's going to be sharing with us some interesting insights today. Because I am seeing, Soma, I'm seeing a lot of little short videos and so forth online talking about a lot of information that is, how can I put that? That is contrary to, for example, in my case, being born and raised Catholic, what I was taught in catechism about the stories in the Bible. And certainly there are those, a matter of fact, one guy, he basically started his statement by saying, if you read the Bible and you're an honest, critical thinker, after reading the Bible, you will be an atheist. Now, I wouldn't go quite that far. I would say I would be an agnostic because I don't know. These are writings from someone else. So I'm reading this second, maybe third hand, because it was several hundred years after the period that is talked about, especially in the New Testament and the Gospels, before any of this stuff was written. Now, the Torah, of course, was around because he spoke a great deal. Jesus spoke a great deal about the Torah. So I guess my question to you, Soma, is do we want to have our conversation with Jesus, or can you and I have this conversation? What I put that in your hands today. And again, thank you for joining us again. This is wonderful.
Thank you, Richard. I'm really delighted to be here, connecting with you. I know everyone says that at the beginning of all interviews, but I really mean it. I've been looking forward to it all day, and I've been feeling the Pleiadians building all day. And it always increases their energy when they start to build with me like that. And I was thinking to myself earlier on that it must be because of the interview with Richard at 5. So I'm really delighted to be here. I love doing these with you, and I love channeling the Pleiadians, specifically Ashtar, with you, for you, on these episodes. So I've been connected with them since I was 8, that I'm aware of, and actually past life as well. But So they've given me a lot of information over the years, which is fantastic. And more recently, they've been talking a lot about giants and some of the stories in the Bible as well, but more to do with the Tartaria and the floods and discoveries that will be found, and Egypt and the large fossilized trees and large uh, giants that are set in stone, that have been turned to stone, which of course is a story in the Bible. So my understanding of the Bible, which I was also raised Catholic, and although my mum probably wouldn't have chosen that, but she was born a Catholic, so I was also born a Catholic and raised into a very traditional Irish Catholic family. And we used to spend our summers in Ireland, where I connected to in rural Ireland in County Mayo, which is on the west coast. Beautiful area, beautiful. Ireland is very beautiful and very connected to Atlantis. So I used to spend my summers there as a child, and I was very young when we moved over from Namibia, and I began to, which is a very different environment, very different weather. Um, and it was very extreme for me when I moved over. And I couldn't understand why it was so cold. But when we were in Ireland, I would spend summers there, and we moved there for a couple of years when she moved back to the UK and Ireland. And from the age of, I must have been about 5 to around about 8, I think we were in Ireland. And I used to be outside in the garden, and I was born awake, aware, and conscious, and very aware of the nature spirits, the trees, the fairies, the elves, the just all the beautiful nature spirits. So I was born really awake. I was kind of born what I describe as being back to front, because I was born awake, aware, and conscious of spirit, of loved ones, of tree spirits, of fairies, of elves, of very different dimensions that the human eye normally doesn't pick up on. I was born very gifted in that sense, not so much in other areas of my life, because I did have a lot of trauma as a child, which also kind of opened me up to the spirit world and the Pleiadians, and all of that spiritual stuff. So my childhood was really a huge training ground, and I can never emphasize that enough. It was packed full of experiences and teachings, and I was really being shown and taught a vast amount of information on most of the natural laws and the esoterical laws and teachings. So I began to read the Bible when I was 12, and I was being shown that there are a lot of truths in the Bible, but the Bible was also rewritten, and many things were taken out, many things were adjusted to suit a certain narrative, which, in my understanding today, is very the church is very satanic, the Catholic Church, and very an evil institution, as far as I'm concerned, given some of the things that have been coming out about the Catholic Church. But so the Bible stories I find fascinating, because I think the Bible is based on a lot of truth that is unbelievable, such as giants walking the earth, such as UFOs and aliens, and there's just so much in the Bible that is true, but it has been, it has been changed. It has been rewritten several times by different people with a certain narrative.
And then of course also there has been a lot that has been lost in translation. Now, if we had been taught in school, whether it be England, Ireland, or America, if we had been taught Hebrew and Aramaic and maybe Latin and Greek and so on, like a friend of mine who was born and raised in Italy, and when she came here to go to UCSB, she told me that she was taught and she learned before she ever left Italy, she learned 5 languages while in school. Then, when she got here to the United States, here to Santa Barbara, she learned, I seem to recall her saying she learned 2 other languages, and one of those was Mandarin Chinese. I thought that was fascinating. By the way, you can always tell someone who is from Ireland because anytime there's a little bit of a kerfuffle, they're like, oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. That's the traditional phrase when there's a bit of a kerfuffle going on, or spilt milk, if you will. I've always loved that phrase. It's very funny. I would like for us to dive into some of these stories, and you tell me who it is that would best suit this conversation that you might bring in. But before you, and I'm going to allow you to do that, I'm going to tell our listeners. We're talking with Soma ARah, and she is going to connect with, we're not sure, I'm not 100% certain which entity or group it's going to be, but we're going to talk about some of the Bible stories, if you will, and what they really mean, whether or not there was actually a flood, and so forth. David and Goliath, speaking of giants, and of course, Goliath was the big one. He was the giant. And then there's some other stories as well that we have been taught over and over again, and you have to wonder sometimes whether or not that seems a little far fetched. And yet, sometimes the people who are believers in those stories as literal will completely dismiss another philosophy's stories and say, no, 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 you're nuts. That's absolutely not. There's no way that could happen. And you hear about these various, because they've been labeled cults. Jim Jones, for example, back in the 70s, that was an awful, awful scenario. David Koresh. Then you had the Hale Bopp crew that were waiting for the mothership that was supposed to come from behind a comet that was going by, and others that are lesser known and don't get the notoriety. So we'll find out a little bit about some of the biblical stories as we continue. We're talking with Soma ARah, and you are listening to yours truly, Reverend Dr. D, here on the program that gives you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. This is Tell Me Your Story. I am Reverend Dr. D, and Soma ARah is with us again, and I'm so glad that she has agreed to join us again. Who is it that would best fill the bill, if you will, from your perspective, or better yet, from their perspective, to sort of talk a little bit about these? Would that be Ashtar?
Yes, thanks,
Okay.
Richard. Yes, Ashtar. So I channel the Pleiadian collective, but Ashtar, commander, chief in commander, or commander in chief, is always the spokesperson that for them, and he always comes through as being um, the main person that I channel
Okay.
with the Pleiadian collective,
All right.
and I'm always better um, at channeling than I am when it comes to information. I'm always better channeling information than I am actually just giving it when it's just me.
Okay.
Um,
So you need a
so I
moment to sort of prepare and allow the channel to come through.
yes,
So
please.
we will give you a moment to do that as she does this. Soma ARah is our guest here on the program. And in just a moment, we will have a conversation with Ashtar, who is the chief, commander in chief, if you will, from that standpoint. And we are very grateful for the participation here on the program because too many questions are being asked about some of these stories when it comes to not exactly their accuracy, but how they help us move through our days in terms of our own fate. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So We'll see where we are with Ashtar at this moment.
We are delighted to be here with you again. We are opening the doors to allow this one to channel, and many of you will just have heard her voice change, which is something that we do with humor and joy and upliftment. We come through today with messages of love, of truth, of acknowledgement that you are more, so much more than you understand yourself to be. And you are expanding in this area or arena of self-development and self-nurturing and self-understanding, that your world is not what you thought it was, that you are divine beings of Source God, divine beings that are powerful, and your history is a complete lie. It is also a play on words that we often speak of, his story.
It is interesting to take a look at some of these stories, going back into the Old Testament, or the Torah, if you will, and the beginning of Genesis, when man was, quote unquote, created. And yet there is speculation among many here on the planet that we weren't created as far as this planet is concerned, that we were put here, that from our perspective, our origins are not of this planet. Is that a truism? And then, if that is the truism, why in the Old Testament why the deception? Why the misinformation regarding our origins?
We love your questions. They are of a very higher frequency. Your awareness, your soul level is of a very high development, which is why you are able to fathom and ask these questions and understand them. So let us go back to a beginning, where we created you in our likeness. We are not alone in this universe or your universe. We are not alone in our dimension or your dimension. The universe is teeming with life. We have our brothers and sisters, such as Syrians and Lyrans and Arcturians and Andromedans and many, many others, in Soma's words, figured out or reported or recorded or exposed is the wrong word, but acknowledged. So the universe is teeming with life in all four directions. We created you in our likeness. And many of us, being positive extraterrestrials or ETs, have also created and seeded life on other planets and star systems. There is life throughout your universe of varying degrees. You are not alone in the universe. We don't like the word experiment, but that is as close as we can come for now to give a quick example. Okay. Many experiments have been carried out on your planet. You are not the only ones that were seeded or created on your planet. There is depictions of these beings that we and others created on your planet, depicted in cave drawings, in art, in many different etchings and ways that we've recorded or they were recorded, such as a half horse and a half man, many different depictions of experiments. We don't like that word. There's one in particular that is coming to Soma's mind of the bull that was created, and it was an experiment that did in fact go wrong, where the bull became a very destructive force, a very destructive being. And it was not a bull in terms the same as you have today, but it was a bull that was extremely large, powerful, full of rage and anger, with a lack of understanding, a lack of goodness in it. We don't like that word, but there we are. So your universe is teeming with life. There are many stories in the Bible of truth, and many have been changed, such as let us pause there. We want to add that the Bible has been changed, manipulated, misinterpreted deliberately, mistranscribed deliberately, because there is a great war between positive and negative ET energies. Mm-hmm. It is a spiritual battle that has been going on for eons. For eons.
Yeah. I know I heard of a story going back about 17 or 1800 years that there was this, what today we would call a propaganda war between the church, as we call it, and the people. And that propaganda war, of course, was won by the church. However, now the people, in the last, I would say, 100 years or so, have been asking questions that the answers that have been given just, they don't make sense. They're illogical in that respect. And so we are now saying, wait a minute, hold on. We need to, as there was a phrase in the 1960s, as our calendar is, where it says, always question authority. Well, that's what's happening today, especially considering the fact that many of our officials in many of the institutions have been deliberately lying to us, and they've been caught in these lies, but they continue to tell mistruths. And one of the focal points of this particular program, and I should have prefaced the program by saying that we are not here to undermine anyone's faith. And I want to talk a little bit about that aspect of our conversation. How important is our individual as well as collective faith when it comes to whether these stories are true or not, that we choose to start believing not only in, shall we say, a higher divine power, and also having a faith in ourselves as part of that divine power, regardless of what the books say and the statuary and the icons and so forth tell us.
We love your questions. We love your energy. Let us go back to a beginning of Atlantis or the downfall of Atlantis rather, where you were invaded by a negative alien species or race. And they have been in control of your planet since then. They created systems. They created governments. over the space of a long period of time. They created religion. They created all the systems that are in existence on your planet now. And all systems on your planet now are run by negative ET species who created religion, which is something very separate to God. God is a higher power, a higher source. It is a collective energy of you. You are divine fractals of source. You are powerful beings. Powerful beings. The church will tell you that you are sinners, that you are bad, that you need to go to confession, that you need to release your sins, that you need to become Christian again. We would say you are perfect. You are divine beings of God, which has very little to do with religion. Faith is a wonderful thing. Belief in God, in an expanded source, energy, is real. There are many false gods and false prophets, and we would go so far as to say that the church is a part of this false gods. Soma has much faith in God, in source, in creator, which has nothing to do with religion. Your Bible was rewritten, changed, words taken out. Your language in all countries, we often describe this, we often use the word English language as being changed, where words have been taken out, words have been added, taken out, changed. The word planet, for example, is plan ET. The word humanity is human ET. The word ridiculous is ridicule us. So those are three good examples of how your language has been adapted to suit the nefarious cabal or Illuminati, whatever Soma would choose or you would choose to call them. Tartaria was a time on your planet when the negative agenda were very much in control and created what Soma would call, or you would call, a mud flood, where the earth was reset to suit their nefarious plans, and it seemed to work at the time. However, now in this great ascension of great process of ascension, you are expanding your consciousness. We are expanding our consciousness, because the consciousness expansion is not limited to Earth. The expansion of consciousness includes everything, which includes God's source or source. It includes you. It includes us. It is an energy that is imprint is the wrong word, but it is an energy source of everything that exists, is expanding. Let us say that again. The consciousness process is an expansion of all consciousness, which exists everywhere. There are many discoveries that will be rediscovered, and that is not even the correct words, because these discoveries are not new. they've been hidden from you, which in part is to do with the mud floods or Tartaria, where huge objects have been hidden from you, from caves to pyramids to giant motherships in Antarctica, huge areas that lay beneath your pyramids, huge areas that lay beneath the Sphinx, that lay beneath Stonehenge, that lay beneath Mount Shasta. Many areas were covered up deliberately, and layers were added to the earth.
Can you, I've heard this term, and I've heard that these places do exist. We had a television program by this name in reference to these portals. They call them stargates, where you could walk through them to other places. It would almost be like a physical structure that is connected, like, shall we say, to what we call a wormhole that would allow us to traverse light years in seconds to other worlds and so forth. And it has been said that those places exist here on the planet, in addition to what you've already referred to. Those are the kinds of things that we're talking about, isn't it? Or aren't they?
You are correct. You are accurate. There were star gates that we would call advanced tech, that perhaps more of a correct term would be advanced technology. But your pyramids in Egypt, in Giza, were stargates, or a stargate. There are other stargates on your planet. There was one in Easter Island. There was one in Stonehenge. All of those types of sacred sites were originally and still are connected through waves of energy or advanced technology. Your planet was knocked off its axis and things were changed. Things were dumbed down. Your DNA was changed, making you less advanced, where you de-evolved because of your DNA was adapted to suit a more negative agenda. So there were many truths on your planet that existed at one time, such as giants, such as giant trees, such as dragons, were very real. Stargates are very real and being reignited or reconnected is a better word. This is a process that is ongoing. Dials were switched off. Switches were switched off and dislocated and disarmored, switched off, and the directions of those were changed, allowing a more negative energy to enter into your earth. This is new information to Soma, or rather we are sharing it in a new way, but we are giving new information regarding stargates, because there was a time when your planet was lit up. You were enlightened beings.
Has our so-called intellect gotten in the way of the real understanding of many of these sites, not only the location of them, but the reasons? For example, there's great speculation as to A, how the pyramids were built, and B, the statues, if you will, the stone statues on Easter Island in particular. Then you go down the list of the stone circles, such as Stonehenge, the Newgrange, what we refer to as the prehistoric mound, which both my wife and I have been to many years ago. Is it our intellect that interferes with our intuition, our inner guidance, that helps us to understand these things? Or is it, as you've stated, the fact that our DNA has been altered?
That is a fascinating question, especially for Soma. And we find your question very funny, very humorous, because it is not your intellect that has got in the way at all. Your intellect is far more advanced than you are led to believe. Your vibration, your frequency, your energy is far more advanced than you are led to believe. You are taught in the school system to shut it down, to shut down your intuition, to shut down your access to God's source. You are told that you have 5 senses. This is a blatant lie. So it is not that your intellect has got in the way. It is more that the negative ET species got in the way of you and your consciousness. You have become separate through deliberate manipulation and targeting of humanity has deliberately been set off course, as has your planet been deliberately set off course. So they have done this in order to control and in order to maintain an existence on your planet. Your scholars, your academics, your academia, is your science, your math, your history is vastly a huge lie. When you look into the real research of your abilities, let us use that as a simple example. When you look into the real research and the real science and understanding of your simple innate abilities, they are not limited to 5 senses. Ether was also, ether, E-T-H-E-R, was also one of them that was taken out. Air, wind, fire, and earth. But there is also ether that was taken out. You have been lied to on a mass scale. With regards to you were asking, Soma is trying to recall what you asked about the stargates.
It is it is the process of learning the truth underway at this time, or are we, even though the sources that we are investigating we consider to be more reliable than, say, our institutional leaders, the research that we do, are we deep diving into the truths that really are explaining what's going on, or are we still diving into falsehoods, misinformation, stories, mythology, and so forth? I know that the only thing we've talked about, of course, is the origin of man in comparison to the book of Genesis. But are we on the right track, many of us, at this time, or are we still, and again, those of us who are genuinely, honestly, and humbly searching for answers for ourselves and the people around us, are we on the right path or the wrong path?
We would say that you are on the right path. We would say that there are no mistakes, even given what we've said. On a higher level, or at one of the highest levels, or the highest level, which is God's source, there is no mistakes. They are just experiences and learning and teaching and understanding. and situations that involve light and dark. It is a battle between light and dark, but both are aspects or fractals of Source God. You cannot have one without the other. You also cannot expand you cannot go through the ascension process of evolution, which you are in now, without the negative agenda. Both are going hand in hand, very much like a yin yang symbol.
Mm-hmm.
We would like to talk some about how the pyramids were created.
Please, most interested.
They were created through sound, through frequency, which is an ancient technology that was used to create, to levitate large objects, stone, and put them into place.
And that would explain the accuracy as well. It would explain the accuracy. And we have a technique that some people have discovered where we have these giant speakers, for example, and we place this powder on the speaker, and then we generate sound through that speaker. And on the surface, this white powder, people can choose what they want, sand or what have you. And the different frequencies will create different shapes with the powder. And I'm guessing that that's kind of the same thing that you're talking about, but on a much higher level and
exactly. Exactly. You are very accurate in your description. We would say that is a very basic technology. Or way to use the technology. There were and are more advanced ways where we were able to turn that image or cymatics, the image, into a very physical object of a fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and higher dimension, much like the aura being turned into a Merkaba. We'd like to add that many of you on your planet are aware and have done research on how the pyramids were built, which goes against the narrative that is taught to your science, to your scholars, to your educators. This is a deliberate misplacement of truth. It is deliberate. It is not by accident that you are taught that the pyramids were built by slaves.
Interesting. Very interesting.
We'd like to add that...
Please, go ahead.
Thank you. That the pyramids were huge, what Soma would call batteries, emanating energy, emanating frequency, but also creating it. So there was energy created at the pyramids, but there was also energy emanating from the pyramids that goes from, and we've shown this to Soma recently over the last couple of years, where energy goes from the pyramids to Stonehenge and other sacred sites on your planet that were all connected when the stargates were switched on, when you had a higher awareness or level of development. You devolved, but this devolution was not a natural occurrence. It was a deliberate change of DNA.
Was this done through what we would call chemistry in the lab, or was this done by sound, the vibrations that you were talking about that created the pyramids? there are those who can take anything and they can turn it and use it for destructive means. Was that what was used to alter our DNA?
We would say both.
Okay.
We would say that experiments were done in laboratories or rooms, secret rooms above your planet on ship
Mm-hmm.
where sound was used. Not alone. Sound wasn't the only way that your DNA was changed, but sound was a large thank you. Sound was a large part of it.
Mm. If I may, on more of a personal level, I was brought into this world in a place called Phoenix, Arizona, in the desert. And my wife and I then moved.
We
My
would
present,
say yes before Soma is even allowed to hear the question. We know what the question is. We're
ah,
not sure Soma what the question is, but we would say yes. We've shown information to Soma before regarding Arizona, which is a huge, complex structure that is very different to how it originally looked. There are vast areas beneath your planet, which include Arizona, where there are vast discoveries that will be refound.
mm,
But please go ahead for Soma and your audience. Please
yes.
speak out your words.
When I moved with my present wife to Santa Barbara, I was told by a very dear friend of mine who has already passed over, you are exactly where you need to be right now. And we were there for a little over 19 years. And then we moved to a new place about 200 miles to the east and a mile high up on a mountain. And we have trusted the universe to guide us. And the feeling that both my wife and I get is that we are now, having moved, once again in the right place. We are right where we belong energetically. Is that part of the challenge on the part of other humans who are migrating hither and yon, trying to find that right place for themselves, not only on the planet, but energetically, even if they're not even conscious of it?
Absolutely. There is no mistakes with anything, with your parents, in choosing a partner, in choosing your lives, in choosing where you live, in choosing your traumas, which actually we'd like to add bring you great knowledge, experience, and truth, although traumatic. But you are correct. You are exactly where you need to be. When we watch you, we are connected to you. We're talking to you, Richard.
Mm-hmm.
You are aware of us. You've seen our ships, and this will continue. You've seen movement in the sky, even perhaps from the corner of your eye.
Mm-hmm.
Are you from the future. We are literally you from the future. And you are having this experience on your planet now because we are connected. Because we have learned how to bend and shape time and reality, portals, dimensions, timelines. Our technology is vast and we use it for the good. The negative agenda also has technology that they use for the negative, because that is where their energy lays. That is where they're comfortable operating at for now. But this will not always be the way. Everything is evolving within the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And you are exactly where you need to be, whether that, thank you, whether that is on an individual level, but also in the grand scheme of things. You are exactly where you need to be to progress, to move up a scale or 2 or 3 or 4, to develop, to grow, to nurture, to learn, to understand, to teach even, to spread your voice, to spread your message. We are operating up here on a higher dimension. We don't like the terms of hierarchy, but that is the best, easiest way for us to describe to Soma quickly. So we are up here, or we are over here, and you are over here. But all is connected, all is divine, all is part of Source God. We are you from the future. We've been excited to share this information with you, that we are you from the future, which many are starting to understand now in a more expansive way, in a more tangible way, in a more real way. They're really getting to encompass and process that we are you, meaning that we are on a ship above you as we are channeling to Soma, and we are connected to her through a stream of light, a stream of energy. But we are her from the future.
Is it, the only word that comes to my mind, presumptuous? Is it presumptuous of me, especially as an individual, but there are others who feel the same way? We wish the mothership would come and take us away. And we do say it a little tongue in cheek, but at the same time, I think about how the way things are going these days in the last few years. There's a part of me that is glad that my father in particular, who I've had conversations with in the past, I'm glad he's not here in the physical to experience this.
We understand.
But at the same time, of course, obviously, as anybody who passes on, we miss them. They're our loved ones, and we wish that we could talk with them verbally and see them and so forth. But is that a little presumptuous on our part, and maybe we should just kind of keep that in the back of our minds, because that probably isn't going to happen, that we're not going to be rescued in that way. But you had told us before that there would be some form of intervention, and most likely through human beings, i.e. maybe being channeled through to carry out that intervention, that you wouldn't physically come to the earth, even though there's also speculation that you and others from other worlds are actually physically living among us.
We are. And what you're asking is really to do with what Soma calls the call. There was a call put out into the universe and we've spoken of this before, even perhaps to you directly in one of these previous interviews, but there was a call put out to humanity by a particular man. Let us call him a man, but he was an extraterrestrial that was more advanced. And he saw the suffering of humans. And there was a call put out by him and others, the likes of him. The earth needed help. Many of you heard this call, and in that lifetime you were living on other planets, other suns, stars, moons, star systems. It may sound impossible when we say that suns and moons were inhabited, but that is possible. That is possible.
Yeah.
We're not going to go into that now, but we will most likely do that in a future channeling, perhaps even with you.
That would be wonderful.
Let us go back to our point. There was a call put out into the universe that humanity needed help. And many of you that were living in that time heard the call. And Soma would use the word starseeds. You, as starseeds, heard the call and you came, you chose, you listened, you responded, you replied, and you chose
Mm-hmm.
to help. It was a call of urgency. It was a call of an SOS.
I was thinking the same letters.
That is because we are connected with you.
Yeah. Um, there
Well,
have
let
been,
us add,
go
let us
ahead.
add.
Please go ahead.
You heard the call for help for humanity and the planet. And as starseeds, you replied and responded and you came in. And you've been coming in since the 1940s, 1920s, or
Hmm.
round about then, since the 1900s, we would even say.
Hmm.
And you are exactly where you are meant to be, both on an individual and small level, which goes up to a, a much more expansive level and a collective level. You are exactly where you need to be. And we find your joke funny. We do find your joke very humorous and joyful and funny and uplifting when you say you want to beam me up, Scotty, or get me off this, or send a mothership, because you as starseeds are on your planet now in order to advance humanity. This is a major undertaking. This is an epic time on your planet. You are divine, magnificent beings who are advanced, and you have squeezed yourself into lower frequencies, lower 3D Earth planet dimension in order to help, which is one of the reasons why you as starseeds are more developed, more intuitive, more understanding, more compassionate, more expanded consciousness, because that is who you are. You are us from your future. You are us.
Hmm. Hmm.
You are you are the aliens. You are extraterrestrial having a human experience, which is why you feel so out of place.
Hmm. That's a
Let
good
us
point.
continue because
Yes,
we'd like to share more on this.
please do. I will
Thank
allow you
you.
to.
You are
Mhm.
exactly where you need to be. We take notes, we take reference to the funniness that we feel, and Soma feels even more than us, to do with being beamed up into our ships. But if we did that, if you left the Earth, you would not have the ascension process, and you would be devolving into a tighter network of what Soma calls a prison planet,
Hmm.
which is very restricted and manipulated and dumbed down and controlled
Yeah.
at the highest level by your governments, by your religions,
Yeah.
by your politicians, by your banks, by all of the systems on earth that
Hmm.
are run by the negative ET agendas.
Right.
So you are exactly where you need to be
There.
in micro field to to a macro field.
Hmm. There's an observation of mine. I happen to live in a state in the United States where many people are frustrated over certain circumstances and they are leaving it and going somewhere else. Now, certainly everyone is free to make their choices. I would say, okay, you're a pioneer. Oh, wonderful. Do what you need to do. But at the same time, and then I take this all the way back to the days of the founding of this particular country that we now call the United States. and how the original individuals who said, hey, we've had enough with the king, so we're going to leave and we're going to go over to this place and we're going to start anew and we're going to create a whole different thing. And those two examples, again, on the one hand, you have every right to leave a situation that's untenable, that you don't care for. That's true. At the same time, I would say, why don't you get involved in the system to try to change it? Your leaving isn't going to change it. So that's really what you are saying is, if we were to be able to Uber the mothership and leave the planet, we're not helping the planet. And then, and in a manner of speaking, that's sort of a selfish act to leave. And that's just one observation. And again, those who have
Well, we
decided
would
to
say
leave,
it.
that's
We
their
would
choice.
say it is debilitating.
Mm-hmm.
Please continue.
It's debilitating to the individual, as you were just saying, because now we're no longer raising our consciousness. We've left. We've done what we needed to do for us, but we haven't thought about those we've left behind, whether they be loved ones or just other people. And I think about what's happening on the planet right now and what's being thrown in our faces if we choose to look at our local information sources. And I sit here going, wait a minute, this is the 21st century. This isn't the way we play the game. And the way that the game is right now being played, we've done this over and over and over again since, well, obviously for generations, but I'm going to go back to keep it relatively present, since the 1960s, as our calendar works. And we've done this same thing every single time. And obviously, I know there are other ulterior motives, but there's a part of me that also believes that those of us who are here, who do really care about the evolution of the species, of man, of the human being, that there is a way that we can stop this and say, no, this is not what this, you, all of those of you who are involved in this, you get a timeout. No one's going to be killed. You just get put somewhere in a corner of a room like little children would be because they've been misbehaving. And you'll come out when you've understood what it is that you've done, which may or may not happen. But my point being, we need to be here in order to temper, if you will, the situation. I've even heard it said that those who are cloistered and who pray around the world are kind of holding things together energetically, because if they stopped praying, then everything would just fall apart. Is that a fair assessment?
Somewhat, things would fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
The prayer that you are speaking of is really, let us replace prayer with the word energy.
Mm-hmm.
The energy that they create when they do that prayer is powerful. It is a game changer. There has been much research done on this, especially in what you call the USA or the United States of America or America, where New York has had groups of people meditating and praying, and crime rates reduced.
Mm-hmm.
So there is research done on this. It is an energy that is amplified when you come together to create something, whether it is positive or negative. When it is done in a group, it is more powerful than when it is done in a singular, which is the same for everything. When you do something en masse, it is more powerful than when you do it as an individual, because en masse, the energy is amplified, intensified. Thank you. There was something that you were mentioning just now that we would like to add, thank you, that we would like to say and talk about, is that it is not, when people move country or place or area or city or town, they are taking their problems with them.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
were giving Soma an example just now as you were asking the question of and a woman that is, let us say a woman, because it is the stereotype, a woman that is in an abusive relationship, a woman that is in an abusive, thank you, abusive relationship, trying to relocate with her partner to somewhere new to change the situation. She's just taking the problem with her.
Mm-hmm.
It is not the problem of one individual country or place or area, but more it is a problem with the rulers of your planet who run the governments are, and they are reptilian. They are negative ET energies or beings.
Mm-hmm.
They are an alien race that invaded you in at before the downfall of Atlantis.
Mm.
And
Wow.
now this is changing.
Yeah.
You are in an evolutionary period. We work very closely with Trump, very closely, and we continue to do so. Despite what you are being shown on your main media, on your main news outlets and news channels, you are being very deceived.
Mm-hmm.
This will come to light. We guarantee you this will come to light of the truth of what is happening in Iran and Israel and America and a few other countries that will also join forces
Mm-hmm.
with one or the other of those sides. There is going to be huge information regarding this, and we would like to include the word stargates here, an ancient technology that has been misused by some of these countries where it is unknown to the vast majority of people. Everything has been inverted. The good has become the bad, and the bad has become the good. This is what you are being shown.
Mm. Wow. We need to pause here for a few moments just to keep our listeners informed that we're talking with Ashtar, and he is coming, they, the commander in chief, if you will, of the Pleiadians, is coming through Soma ARah. And we encourage you to go to somaarah.love. And there's also a Cosmic Starseed Academy. We're going to talk about that in a future program, but I wanted to make reference to that. You can find out more about Soma as well as the Academy by going to somaarah.love. You are listening to the channeling of Ashtar. I am Reverend Dr. D, and this is Tell Me Your Story. I want to thank you, Ashtar, and I invite you to return to have that a conversation with us here in regards to some of the other things that you were not able to get to. This has been a rather enlightening for me, and I hope for our listeners as well, and we do appreciate it. We also appreciate you, Soma, for allowing yourself to. I'm not going to allow yourself to invite in and through yourself, through you, Ashtar, and the others as well. And we really do appreciate the time that you have given us here
Can I
on the
just
program.
add, can I just add, Richard?
Please go ahead.
When the last couple of minutes of that channeling, I was asking them, or I don't know even if I was asking them or if they were telling me, but I was kind of asking them, wouldn't it be great, Ashtar, if you could actually come through to the point where you're visible to the audience?
Mm,
So maybe we could do that. I would love to do that.
I would be very intrigued by that, very much so. I'm going to share something with you, and those of you who are listening, you won't see this in the interview, in the conversation that we had with Ashtar. But there is a significant physical change in you. All right. Now, do me a favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Your right side, the right side of your mouth. When you are talking to me, you're level. Your mouth is level when you speak and so forth. But when Ashtar is speaking, the corner of your mouth is constantly going up. And that is not something that usually anybody can really control. I can do it, sort of, but it's something that it just happens, and that kind of tells me, we are now talking not with Soma, but we're now talking with Ashtar or whoever it is that might come through. So I was just observing that. It was very fascinating. I thank you so
I
much.
yeah, I find that fascinating as well because I've seen it myself do it when I've
Mhm.
watched back recordings,
Mhm.
but when I'm channeling, I'm not aware of it.
Right. No, you wouldn't be. I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
And I've even heard that, for some who channel, the voice actually audibly changes. I mean, it is a different voice. There's still characteristics of the human being that it's the channel's coming through in the sound, but there is a different cadence, a different flow, and so forth. And it's just, to me, it's just fascinating to observe these kinds of things. Once again, I want to thank you so much for being a part of what we're trying to do here to sort of educate and hopefully inspire people. Don't give up. There's no reason to give up. As long as there's breath in your lungs that's going in and out, there is still choice to be made. There are choices. That's what I talk about in my book, Choices, the 5 Steps for Life. You always, as long as you're alive, you always have a choice. And it's just a question of what choice you choose to make. And we hope that this has been informative to you. And we look forward to having you back again to talk about some of the things that Ashtar has been sharing. As a matter of fact, if Ashtar is open to it and you are as well, maybe we'll do this once a month
I
to
was just
keep
thinking
people,
the same thing, Richard.
yeah, keep people informed. So when we're done here, we'll set up the April conversation, and we will look forward to that. And again, thank you so much for being here. I thank
Thank
you
you so
folks.
much.
I thank you folks for being here, listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We are here on Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., streaming live at all those times at richarddugan.com. Podcasts are on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. We're on YouTube where you can watch these conversations, and we're on another website called Rumble. Okay, we just started that, and slowly but surely we'll migrate a lot of the videos over to Rumble, and we hope that you will subscribe and to click notification, so when a new conversation is posted, you'll know, you'll be told about it. We also hope that you'll pick up a copy of my book, Choices 5 Steps for Life. It's available on Amazon, and it's in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle. We also hope that you can leave us a tip. A little financial support is always gratefully appreciated. PayPal is our tip jar. And if you go to richarddugan.com, at the top of the page, there are links to both Amazon and to PayPal. And we also ask that you take some time during this, the decade of perfect vision, the 2020s, and stop and go into that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place, listening to and following the promptings of that still small voice. And with all of that being said, I'm going to go ahead with the routine here of asking you, Soma, to answer the 3 questions that I ask all of my guests, even returning guests. And those are, who is Soma ARah?
Divine source, divine goddess, one of us, a Pleiadian channel.
What gets you up in the morning?
Sun.
And what was your best day?
Still hasn't happened yet.
Ah, well, we will look forward to that day. Again, thank you so much. And I thank you for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story. And until our next broadcast, podcast, video cast, love to Lal. Jeanette, I'm still listening. Dad, continue to be happy because I am. Smokey, I'll see you on the other side. Mike, thanks for being in my life and letting me be in yours. To my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.